So, so some of you will know I've been involved in the Rains retreat this week. So this is a retreat for all the members of Mitras, and very interesting material. But just like we were talking last week about this class, we talked about this aspect that actually within this within the Triratna tradition, we teach meditation that primarily invites us to bring attention down into our embodied experience and really discover, engage with the sensations of our body. And the reason that we do that, or the reason that we make this invitation to you, is trying to begin to redress the balance between the different sense fields. So, of course, we have the field of our mind, the field of touch, taste, touch, sight, audio, sound, etc. So, what tends to happen is that the mind seems to be the dominant means for most of us, that we're using that particular sense field to engage with our experience, engage through that particular sense field with our experience. And as we all know, that leads to we use planning, remembering, fantasizing, rerunning the stories of what could be or should have been, all these things that we do, the constructs and the storylines that filter out the rest of our experience, the rest of the sense impressions that are coming into us. And we filter particularly those sense experiences which don't seem to fit our experience, fit the storyline that we've got running in the mind. And we can probably recognize how exhausting and imbalanced this can be. So we're trying to teach meditation in this way of becoming embodied, to draw the focus of our attention away from the mind and turning it towards the tactile, or the knowing of sensations. Teishananda, who's been leading us this week, has been talking about the somatic cloud of the body, which I find a really lovely way of describing sense experience, the sort of tactile sense experience. So once we actually engage with the felt experience, the tactile sensation, maybe we begin to really notice the extent that actually, although we may have a mental map of the body, an image for the body, when we actually start to really engage with our sensations, the felt experience of this somatic field, we begin to see that actually what we thought was quite solid, quite substantial, in fact is more like a cloud of sensations that are arising and fading in our experience. So just like last week, I thought it'd probably be helpful to just spend a bit more time finding this. Well, I think, as I was saying last week, I think when we start to try to move down, drop down into this somatic cloud of the felt experience, it can be become very overwhelming or distressing to engage through our experience in this way, engage with our experience through the somatic. So if we are finding ourselves when we're trying to meditate feeling overwhelmed or feeling really restless, I think we really need to attend to that, take those kind of signs seriously. And so the meditation that I'm going to try to lead us through again today, well, not try to, I will be leading us through today, is very much in, well, when we start to drop down into our experience and we start to find our experience of this on a somatic level, when we do that and we start to meet difficult aspects of our experience, when we're feeling overwhelmed or distressed, or maybe even we just go blank. This is another way of, in a way, defending ourselves against the experience of the tactile body. So how can we moderate our engagement with the somatic cloud? How can we do that in a way that's helpful for us to maintain a practice whilst honouring what's probably quite natural and normal sensations at this time? I think it's probably inevitable that somewhere in the background of our experience there is a degree of strain, of stress, of anxiety, simply because we're in such as a society, we're in such a new place, a new way of knowing what it is to be as part of this social situation we find ourselves in. So how can we turn towards these experiences? This is the question that I'm trying to get to in this preamble. I'm aware you probably just want to get on meditate, but so just be patient. I won't say much more. So how can we engage with our practice in a helpful way? In a way that is resilient enough to actually engage. And one of the ways we might think about it is by just using image of Medusa. Now, Medusa, if you know the story, was a beautiful Greek goddess, but her hair was actually a mass of snakes. So she's both inviting, but also incredibly terrifying. And interestingly, Medusa, the term for or the name Medusa, it apparently means something like guardian. So interestingly, we're trying to move towards something, or we may be finding we're wanting to move towards something which is both kind of draws us to it, but at the same time, or as equally, it's also extremely terrifying. So, so I'm just going to turn off the microphones. I think there's a. So, sorry about that. So I've just turned off all your microphones. So in terms of this image of Medusa, within the story, what happens in the story is that people who try to approach Medusa, as they look towards her, they become turned to stone. So the hero of the story, Perseus, is trying to make contact with Medusa. So he is given a shield, a reflective shield. And what this shield does, it's a mirrored shield, in fact. And this means that Perseus can approach Medusa by looking, by using the mirror as a way of protecting himself whilst moving towards the territory of Medusa. So by looking into the mirror, we avoid the direct gaze of Medusa. We avoid having to look directly into the eyes of that which we find overwhelming or freezing, that we find too difficult to face in our soma, in our somatic experience. So in meditation, it can be helpful for us to find this intermediate space, this intermediate means to approach a more difficult experience. So we have this mode to actually be able to engage and meet our experience without it, that we can moderate that engagement so that we're not too overwhelmed or frozen by the experience. So that's what I'm going to be looking at today. And I'm actually just going to run us through the same practice that we did last week. But I thought, having set it up slightly differently, hopefully it will be helpful for us to engage in the practice. So the shape of the practice is really a metta practice, but it's using this idea of an intermediate space to engage with our somatic cloud. So I invite you now to set up yourselves for meditation, and we'll move into the practice. So we'll be sitting for about 25 minutes. I'm going to say it's actually a variation on the Mettabhavana. So we're going to begin simply to try to disengage our attention from our mental activity and encourage our attention down into the body, the sensations of the body. So starting just by getting a sense of the sensations of our face. Particularly the sensations of our forehead, our eyes, our jaw. And then encouraging our attention lower to be with, to discover the sensations in the throat and in the chest. Particularly paying attention to the area of our heart center. Dropping lower to the belly, the abdomen. Noticing what is actually present here in the abdomen. What are the sensations? From the abdomen down into the whole area of our pelvis. And from our pelvis, opening our attention to all those points of contact that we're making with whatever we are sitting on. And through those points of contact, broadening our attention to include a sense of the earth beneath us, the presence of the earth. Each time we breathe out, just allowing the sense of the weight of our body to be held by the support of the earth. This allows our body to relax. And our next in-breath, inviting our attention to begin to rise up once again through the body, up through the pelvis, into the abdomen, and the heart center. And then from the heart center, broadening out to get a sense of the whole body. This somatic cloud of experience. Sensations arising and passing. Now I invite you to broaden your attention. See if you can find any sounds around you. Allowing our attention to expand, be drawn towards the sounds. And can we recognize that these sounds are arising within It might be described as an open field of awareness. The sounds coming and going in this open field of awareness. So if we can, just getting a sense that we have this broad field of awareness in which sounds arise and fade. And we can use this broad field, if you like, as the reflective mirror in which to begin to engage more fully with the somatic cloud of sensations in the body. So know that whenever we feel overwhelmed, distressed, lethargic, distracted, we can simply broaden our attention out, place greater emphasis on this field of sound, the sensations of sound. To help us create a bit of space, or even a sense of a container in which the somatic cloud is arising, moving, shifting, different sensations coming and going. Can we recognize that this field of awareness established through sound, this awareness is innately kind, loving. It's not trying to change our experience in any way. It's simply turning towards being with, and that act in itself is sufficient to allow any body sensation, any other sensation to settle, to become itself without us becoming over-identified or bound by that particular experience. This love of awareness that comes out of awareness doesn't need us to do anything. We just hold our experience. And that simple holding, tending to, allows the experience to change, transform in its own way, in its own time. Using the sounds around us to help us establish this broad field of awareness. Just allowing those parts of our somatic experience, this field of sensations, just allowing those parts to be present, which we find really easy to enjoy, really easy to be with. These parts of our body knowing that enhance a sense of well-being. So we're using this broad mirror of the field of awareness and noticing within it the sensations that we're attracted by, that we're enjoying, that enhance our well-being. Really opening our awareness to these aspects of our experience. Finding the energy in our body, the pleasure in our body. So in this next stage, just checking we have this sense of a broad field of attention. We're using the sounds around us Locate the sounds. Recognize their locations. And recognize that they arise in this broad field of awareness. And then the invitation is to attend to the somatic cloud, sensations of our body. And looking to bring to the fore those sensations that we can easily overlook, ignore, that are almost slightly uninteresting. Maybe the points of contact between our fingers. Contact with clothing. Maybe a sense of temperature. The knowing of movement. All these things, all these aspects, these sensations we can so easily overlook. It's as if these whole variety of sensations which don't maybe bolster our sense of self, the storyline of who we are, or the storyline of who we're not. These less important sensations, apparently less important sensations, can easily be overlooked. Inviting intention onto the neutral features of our experience, holding them in this broad field of attention. We may notice a sense of how this process begins to fill out our sense of embodiment. The gaps and the soma begin to fill out, come to life. Just consciously broadening our attention, just to ensure we have really sound connection with sound. Locating any sounds around us, and using those to create this field of awareness. And knowing that we can always broaden out our attention to return to this open, spacious awareness. As we choose now, or invite you now, to step towards, to bring attention to those parts of our experience that we might describe as uncomfortable, unpleasant, even painful. Exploring the somatic cloud, and noticing where the discomfort lies, and choosing, if we can, to come alongside in kindness to these sensations. Using the broad mirror of attention to moderate our engagement. We begin to feel overwhelmed, frozen, lethargic. Consciously withdraw back into the broader field of attention. Refine the sounds and the space around us. Engaging with the particular qualities of the sensations. The energy the texture of the experience. What is here that we're labeling as unpleasant, as painful? In the final stage of this practice is beginning by returning to the sounds around us. It may be very quiet where we are, but we can still have this sense of reaching out, searching for sounds in this broad field of awareness. And using this broad field to bring attention now onto the whole somatic cloud, sensations of the body, including those sensations which bring energy, aliveness, enjoyment, those sensations which have a more neutral character. By bringing them into awareness, fill out this sense of embodiment. And finally, including those aspects that we find difficult to move towards, to be with. Recognizing this whole somatic field. Resting in awareness. Kind awareness. And in our own way or in our own time, just broadening our attention to include a sense of We are sitting with others in awareness. We're all participating in this same field of awareness, boundless, open. We meet in awareness. We meet through awareness. Recognizing this field of open, kind, appreciative awareness is always available to us, always present. Available for us, available for all beings. It is opening the heart wish for all beings to find the means to rest in this open field of unconditional love, the field of kind awareness, where we don't have to be anything, don't have to do anything, can simply come to rest. So we have an opportunity, probably only 10 minutes or so, but I'd like to give you the opportunities if you'd like to share anything of your experience or ask any questions. Be very happy to do that. Just be aware that you are muted at the moment, so you either need to drop down onto the bottom of your screen. You'll see a little sign on the left hand side, it says mute, so or it may appear in the top right hand corner, depends what device you're on. So if you'd like to speak, do unmute yourself, and so we can hear you. So I can see Alex, is that unmuted? Do you have something you'd like to share or ask?
Not particularly at the
Okay,
moment.
that's fine.
Can I ask how you're spelling somatic?
Sorry, Lynn, you're quite, could you come a bit, I can't quite hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask how you're spelling somatic?
S-O-M-A-T-I-C.
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay. Is that a term new to you?
It is.
Okay.
I will go and look it up.
Okay. Well, I hope it's useful as a term. Yeah. It's basically referring to the kind of whole sense field of the body. So there's kind of there's a sense of energy or vibration in the body, as well as these kind of sensations of touch or of solidity or fluidity, all these different terms that we so it's just in a way it's a way of describing that whole experience of what it means to inhabit the body. Yeah. Linda, you're unmuted as well, so
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I'm unmuted because I wasn't sure what to do, so I was just prodding around. So, hello.
right.
Thank you, Bhadra, for another wonderful meditation. It's really nice to be here with everyone.
Yeah.
Nice shared experience, very important at this time.
Great. Well, I'm glad it's useful. Great. Okay. Okay, well, we don't need to do any more than that. It seems as if that was sufficient. So if that's okay, we'll end it there. So very nice to see you all as ever. And yeah, look forward to seeing you again in some other group, an event. But I will be here this week, and next week we'll be able to be on time as far as I know. So very much appreciate your patience today, and yes, we'll see you next week. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye all.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Well.
Bye.